Welcome everybody to this product webinar of September 2022 for Bettyblocks. Today, me and Anton van den Berg and Reinier van Alta will show you the latest things we've added to our platform. We'll go over that during the next hour or so. So the goal of this webinar is to give you, our customers, partners, developers, and some of our internal colleagues some insights into what we've been up to in the past months and weeks. If you got any questions, please add them to the Q&A section in Zoom in the bottom bar. Please don't put them in the chat because they might get lost in the chat if a lot of people are posting things in the chat, and the Q&A, we can keep proper track of it for you. We'll try to answer 2 questions live at each end of the section, and the others, of course, we will answer those as well, but we'll answer them in the Q&A section itself in the chat. And of course, feel free if you have any private questions to send them through a private message. This webinar will be recorded, so you can review it later as well. So today's topics, the first part is about what we've worked on. So the things that are probably right now on production already, or almost on production. So one of those things is the pages overview, where we will demo authenticated versus public pages. We'll show you how you can create your own page templates in the platform. We'll show you the wrapper components that we've released. We'll talk about the beta forms, and we'll talk about sharing action functions through the block store. So let's get started with ease of use and the page overview, the authenticated versus public pages. So as some of you might have already noticed, in the pages overview, you have different tabs now for selecting all public or authenticated pages, which you keep track of all the different types of pages you have. So it should make it easier to find your pages, but also easier to identify which pages are authenticated behind a web user or even a specific web user and not. Let me show you this in Betty itself as well. So over here, you have the All tab now, which shows all of your apps, so all of your pages. You also have the authentication profile shown in the overview itself, so you can see exactly here as well which pages are protected by authentication profile and by which authentication profile if one has been selected. But if you go to one of the other ones, it also shows you that it here the none, so the public pages, and these 3 here are protected by the web user, the current web user authentication profile. And of course, in here, you can also search for them. So you can search specifically here or search in all of them if you want to as well. So they also work very specifically for the search option as well. So next, we've released a new feature which allows you to create your own page templates. So for the last year, we were offering page templates already that have been built by Bettyblocks itself, which you could utilize. But now we have also added a function which allows you to create your own page template. Of course, pro coders could already do this by adding them to the component set. But right now, this is a feature specifically aimed at the no-coder as well, so that no-coders can create their own pages in the page builder and save them as a page template. So you don't have to save the page and duplicate it manually, and then yeah, you have to find it again within the pages, and that was usually quite a difficult process. And another thing that we've added here is also that these page templates are also shareable through the block store across organizations. So let me show you this. So let's say that you have created a page. Let me grab my page here. So you've created a page here. You created your own layout and everything on it, and you want to save it as your own page template. So there is a new button here. You can see we have added a whole new bar here that allows you to see the save option here as well for your page. But also the save as template feature has been added here as well. And you can name your template here. My template page, for example. You can add a short description here. And you can tell it whether you want to share it through the block store or not. If you choose to sharing it through the block store, it means that you can share it throughout your whole organization with your colleagues, so that everybody can use it. If you choose just to or not to share it, then you can use it yourself within your application. So that's a big difference whether you turn this on or off for this option. In this case, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to say save as template. So now it will create the whole page as a template. And it will tell me here that it's been saved successfully. So now if I go back to pages and click on the new page button, we get the public templates here. But we also have a new tab here called My Page Templates. As you can see here, I already had a few that I've created. But there's also here my template page with lorem ipsum here, which I can use now to create my own new page. So if I would say my new own page, for example, set this to public and let it be created. We should have an exact copy of the page that we saw before, which you can now edit just like the previous one. So everything from the previous page is being copied over. If it's in the same app, it even copies over your data models and everything. If you do that to another app, then those will be emptied and you have to reselect them, which makes sense because you don't have the same models, of course, in your other app as well. But they won't break. So you still have everything that you've done. So let's also go to the block store. So I've opened here the block store already in another tab. If I refresh this page now, I should see my page template here as well. Yeah, here, page template new. Sorry, my page template, that one. So right now, this is only released to myself. It's not released yet. That's why it's a development status right now. I can press it here and release. If I release this, it will be released so that other users can use it as well, but you have to tell it here in the permissions how you want to release it. So, well, in my case, I can also release it publicly, but in your case, you will only see that only the owners can see it, or you can share it with an organization as well. So you can add here any organization that you're part of, or at least that you are a admin of, and you can share it then with that organization as well. So now I can share it here with the organization Paradigm, and all the user builders in the apps of the Paradigm organization will have access now to this specific page template as well. So that way you can share it cross organization and cross application as well with everybody. And here you also have the option, of course, to add more owners. So if you just want to share it with a couple of specific people, you can add more owners to it, so they can. So then you can share it with specific users, but they will also have access to this part then because they become an owner of it. So they can also unrelease it, release it. So be a little bit more careful with that part. All right, so that's it for creating your own page templates. let's move on to the next topic, which is the wrapper component. So the wrapper component is not a component in the traditional sense that it's something you can drag onto your canvas in the page builder. It's something that is built into page templates. It's a component that makes the use of page templates a lot easier, especially if you've never used the page template before, and you'll see like maybe 100 or even 200 components on the page, and you have no idea what to open. For example, in the back office, to open the drawer from on the right side, because you can't find the component so easily because you don't know what it's named, for example, because you're quite new to the platform. So that's where the wrapper component comes in to make that a lot easier. So let me actually demonstrate that too, so it makes a little bit more sense. So I already have a back office created here. And in this back office now, I have a wrapper component. So if I click here, instead of clicking, as you can see, I try to click anywhere, except for the menu here, which opens up the partial. If I click here now, it opens up the wrapper. And what does this wrapper do? It wraps all the underlying components together. And within this component, I have the option that has a couple of linked options to specific underlying components. So if I have a page view here now, which says here overview and record view. So if I click here on record view, it will open up the record viewer on the right. And as you can see now, it shows here my design tab, which is over here. If I want to see the details tab, for example, it will open the detail tab or the update tab. So it makes navigating through a template a lot easier. And of course, I can already imagine that you're thinking, but hey, I just want to be able to select my components maybe because I want to edit my components or I want to add something. There are multiple ways of doing that as well. We thought of that. So it's not like you're stuck within this. We have a little lock here, which allows you to unlock the wrapper, which allows you to click just normally, like always, on all of your components. We've also added a little button here, jump to wrapper context. So this will bring you back directly to the wrapper. So you can always get back to the wrapper very easily. But also, if I lock this again, you can also hold down your command or control key, whether you're on a Mac or maybe on a Windows or Linux. With the control, you can also directly select components. So now I'm holding my control key on my keyboard and I can select components directly as well. So you don't always have to use the lock for that as well. And I still have the option here to just click anywhere now without holding my control key, I go directly back to the wrapper component. So this has been added to a lot of our page templates to make it easier for you to navigate them, to open up hidden components. And hopefully this will make it a lot easier for you to use the templates. So another thing that we've done in the past weeks, which we actually just released, is move our page templates to something that we call next gen. It's something that Anton will talk about a lot in the coming few minutes as well. But so what is next gen actually? What do we mean by next gen? As a lot of you know, we are working on new actions that are a lot faster than the current actions that you can know from our, as we, the more technical people for you, which we used to call the Betty 5 interface. So the new interface we call a next gen now. And so when you're using a page template now, it will render the new actions instead of the old actions. So also here within this back office, this is already configured now from the new next gen actions. So if I go here to my select and whoops, no, I didn't want to go there. Let me just click to my form. So here is a next-gen form behind it now. So if I want to edit this form here now, of course, something has to go wrong always during a demo. Why not? All right, so as you can see here, it has the new actions behind it, because if I click here now, I go directly to the new actions. Of course, some of you, as also already know, with the old actions, you can also go to such an interface, but it will tell you here immediately that you can go back to the old interface, which you don't have here at all. So here now you have the option to do anything with the new interface for the new actions, and you can directly interact with those as well, just like in the old interface, just with the new actions. So all of our page templates have been updated now to make use of this, so that everybody can start using this much more easily than before, which Anton will explain more about in a little bit. And then it's up to Anton to talk about the new forms.
All right, thank you, Rainier. That's my cue. All right, so sorry, I will be talking more about our new forms, where the main goal is that we're building within one environment again, making the ease of use of our platform a lot easier. So I'll be walking through the features that we've been added to our current beta components, and also what we are still doing in moving towards promoting them to production. So one of the first things, which is already there for quite some while, but we didn't address this during any webinar yet, is that we added our multi autocomplete component again, and autocomplete. And this is to handle the mutation of relational properties. So the most common use cases for this are that you are able to update or create a user and attach certain roles to that, which are coming from a different model. Previously, within the page builder, so the current version, you also needed to do a lot of manual work for this, where you had to go to a previous environment and do some hard coding stuff there. But now this all...
You're not sharing your screen yet, so.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Let me fix that. Thank you, Rainier. All right, so we are focusing indeed on making the ease of use of the forms a lot better as well. So I will demo this in a bit as well, that if you now drag a autocomplete component on the canvas, you can select the property, relational property in this case, and this will make the round trip for you so that you don't have to make any changes in your action, which is a lot user-friendly than it was before. So let me just show that for a sec. So this is my page. And if I go to demo one of my forms, and I want to add a create form, I have to toggle the beta on. Now I can select a project, and I want to give it a name, add some proof to it, and assign multiple tasks to it, or maybe some web users. And if this is added to the canvas, you can see that my autocomplete is added. And so both a single and a multi autocomplete, as you can see by the chips. And if I would navigate to my action, you can see that the input variables have been created. that are mapping those values so they can be used within the create record of your form, or create a record function in this case. So this is very nice that this works out of the box. Maybe something which is nice to show now as well is that when you navigate to your form, we show you that the action is currently private, which means that you have to edit your permissions, so you can directly navigate there. And you can, in this case, choose that the admin role is able to add a project to this application. We will be making some improvements here that these will be inherited, but this is the current state. What is also possible is that you add a existing or add a autocomplete component to a existing form. And in this case, that will look like this. So I drag it on the form and I can select the property. In this case, I want to add web users to it and save it. And there I can add it. It has been added to my form as well. The only difference with this flow is that you will have to attach that input variable to the update, or sorry, the create step within the action yourself. So a form will do everything for you. So if you start from a form, but if you start adding inputs to an existing form, then it still requires some manual work. Let's continue. So the other component that we have been working on is our file upload, where we put in well, a lot of effort to make this round trip again. We made some improvements there as well. The most important ones are that our previous forms, we did not properly handle the displaying of your current value. So basically your file upload component didn't work that good within a update form. So we made some improvements there. Next to that, you are also now able to upload larger files, where previously this was around, I believe, 18 kilobytes, depending on if you were authenticated as a user or not. And now it is increased to 10 megabytes, which is also inherited from the properties. So that's a big improvement there. And I will show you a bit how that works. So here we have my page again, and I want to add a update form so that I can update the projects within this application. So I search for my update form and I drag it on the canvas. And here you can see that you get the configuration to set up your form. Now we made some improvements here as well, because usually an update form requires some context. And with this step, you are able to say that either the data is coming from another page, which usually means that you are currently on a detail page and you are using an input variable to load in the current record of the data that you want to edit. But in this case, for me, it's coming from this page, namely my data table. So I'm able to select that. I want to say I want to update the name and proof, in this case, of this project, and I save it. And here you can see that my update form has been added to the canvas, also with the file upload. And now what I currently still need to do is edit my permissions and allow my admin, and I save this. And if I now navigate back to my form and I will play this page, you can see that it's giving an error. It's loading in a list of projects. And if I now select this project, you can see it's being loaded in here on the right side due to its name currently. And if I upload a file and I select that, The only thing I'm missing is refetch, but I already added that button. So now you can see that this file has been successfully uploaded and added to this list of projects. If I also change to a different record by selecting it in my list, you can see that it's displaying the current value of that image that has been uploaded and the name of it. So this gives you, as a user, a bit more detailed information about what file has been uploaded. And this all well, works out of the box as well, which is really nice. So let's continue. I see there's one question in the chat. Is this one I can answer live? Is it possible to drag and drop a file to the file upload component? No, that is not possible. So for this file upload component, it's a basic file input component. If you want to offer such functionality to a file upload component, I believe you will have to use external dependencies to make sure that that file upload is able to handle that, which is something that I will be talking about in a bit. I hope this answers your question. If not, a follow-up is always welcome, of course. All right, so after the file upload, something which is also important, which currently wasn't possible with our beta components, is to filter. So basically, we are currently allowing you to place your input components outside of the context of a form, so that you can filter data within data tables. So if I go back to my application and I go to my previous page, you can see here that I have set up a filter, and this is not inside any form component. And previously you would get a alert message that you're trying to add a input component, outside of the context of a beta form. So we didn't allow that yet. But let me just rebuild what I had here. So if I have a text field, I can just add it on a column, say I search something, and you can add an interaction on change that you want to filter the data table in this case, where the email address contains what you type in. So if I now play this page, you can see that if I filter, I can search for myself. And for the other input components, this is the same. So if I just want to show my active users, it's possible, or maybe just filter on what date they have been added to this application. So this allows you to filter within your application again using our beta input components, which is of course one of the core functionalities within our platform. Something that I also want to show is a custom form. So previously our beta form components were only able to be based upon a model within your application. This is what we were first focusing on, as this is being used the most. But there's of course also some users that want to get have a bit more flexibility, or simply not use any models within your application because they want to call external resources. Very common use case is also to do a single sign-on login. And for this, you don't need any models in your application. You just need to be able to have a form and some inputs and an action to be able to retrieve the data that you want to be able to use that on your page. So if I go back to my application and I go to my custom form, You can see over here, I made an example that, for instance, you want to make a calculation, and can be that the action that is connected to these imports will do this calculation for you and give you the result back to the page. I did not make this for the sake of this demo, but let me show you how that form component will be created using our beta form. So if I drag it in the canvas, you are now able to select that your model or your form is either going to be based on a model or not. And if it's not based on a model, you can give your action a name. So this will be my new action to calculate, typing, and I now save this. And you can see this will just add a form to the canvas as previously, but it won't have any model attached to this. But you're still able to add your inputs to this form and use that to whatever it is you want to do. So here you can say I want to do a calculation, what is it, amount, and save. And now this will be added to your action as an input variable. So this can be used again for whatever it is you want to do in this action and offer that flexibility. What is also possible is that you have a form which is based upon a model. So let me add that for a sec. So I say, okay, it's based upon a project. I have a name in there and some tasks. But now I'm adding another input there. Let's see, let's just add a text again. And here you can see that now, similar to the model, I have the possibility to select if the input that I'm adding to my canvas is either going to be based upon a property, and then I can select the property as you were capable of doing before, and this will automatically add an input variable to your actions that you can use. Or you can say, no, this will not be based upon a property in my application. I just want to make something custom. Give it a action input variable name, which is needed to map the data from your form to be used in the action. So let's say, whoops, amounts. And this will be added to your form again. So this means you can have a mixed match of form inputs within your form that are either based upon a property or not. And of course, we advise to use the ones that are based upon a property, also because in the future, we will be adding a lot of inheritance to this, such as validations and default values that will speed up the process of you for building your application. All right. Then another thing that we have been working on, but this is still a work in progress. We are busy adding action functions to our block store, a public block store, because we want to move towards our beta off. And currently we notice that quite some functionality within the actions is missing. And we want to enable our pro coders to be able to add additional functions here that they can easily share amongst each other, so that we can speed up the process of filling that gap. So currently, well, this is what it's envisioned to look like when you are going to search within the actions environment, because you're missing certain functionality. It will also make a call to our block store, where we'll go over the public blocks that are available, or the ones that are shared with your organization. If you have any pro coders within your own organization that have shared it with your organization, so that as a no-coder, you can add these steps to your application. And with this, you will, well, be able to do everything that you wanted to do before. And that is it. So let me tell a bit more on what our next steps are, especially concerning our new forms. So we are still working on our beta forms, and our main goal is to get these to production. Our current planning to go live is on the 11th of October. The value that we so greatly see is that you will once again get a seamless building experience by everything being within the same UI. We empower the pro coders so that they can add a lot of customization to that action, build their own steps that the no coders within their organizations can use to build their actions, which are then connected to our forms. And last but not least, is also that we will offer a lot higher performance with these actions. We have a lot of cases, well, examples where this performance has been increased to up to 12 times. Of course, this does vary a lot upon the use case, but it's very promising. And we also want to be future ready, so that's why we want to promote this. What does this mean for you? So how will you notice this? Within the page builder, currently you are able to see the toggle within the component library, which you can see over here. And we will be removing this beta toggle. And that means that all the components that you are currently seeing in the component library here will be the main form and input components available within the page builder. The other input components, which you can currently see over here, will still be available, but we will hide them a bit more out of the UI. So you will be able to navigate to your page settings and loading a different component set that will contain these inputs. And because we do not want to block you from maintaining your current forms within your pages, but we strongly want to encourage you to use our new form components because they are a lot better performance, future ready, and easier to use. What else? All right, yeah, so what else are we going to do indeed? As I mentioned before, with the question that I got for the dependencies concerning the file upload, this is something that we are currently working on as well. So we want to offer components that are using dependencies within the page builder. Yeah, we want to promote again to share components within the block store built by pro coders so that the no coders are able to use this within their applications. With the plus also that a dependency can be added over here. So some examples are added in the design you can see here on the right, which is some rich text editors, the only office, but also you can have a reCAPTCHA file upload component as mentioned, or a lot of graph components. And this will offer pro coders to add those to the Bettyblocks environment for no coders to be able to install them within their application and use them within their pages. And next to components, we will also be focusing on our data sources, which is quite a similar story. As you can see, we are focusing a lot on enabling our pro coders and making the things that are possible within Bettyblocks to be shared within your organization or publicly through the cloud. So for the data sources, you will also be able to add a data source, release this to the block store, which means that it will all become available within the following UI, where you can filter for these different services and install them within your application. And this will greatly improve the reusability of the components. It will also offer transparency over components that are available for you and your organization, which will in an end result speed up the development, or at least that's the hypothesis. And that was everything for now.